Speech on Wednesday as the economy struggles to recover from the damage brought by the coronavirus pandemic, including South Africa's discovery of the Omicron variant that sparked a flurry of international travel restrictions. Now, to discuss what is likely to come out of the minister's budget, we are now joined via Zoom by Professor Thabo Legwaila, a professor in Mercantile Law at the University of Johannesburg and Chief Executive Officer of the Office of the Tax Ombud. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us here on SABC News. We appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you very much, Flo, and good afternoon to you and to your viewers.
Let's start off by talking about what are some of your expectations when it comes to what the finance minister is likely to focus on, and is there much room to maneuver given the stagnant economic growth, and also what we did hear from the president during the State of the Nation address. You know, there was no sense of positivity coming out, particularly when we're talking about the issue of job creation and jobs. That was quite a sticking issue during the State of the Nation address. So what are you expecting to hear this time around?
Thank you very much, Flo. You know, at this moment, to be honest with you, being a Minister of Finance is not one of the best things that you would want, considering the challenges that you have just talked about.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, in most instances, we talk about what will the minister do? Where does the minister get the money? I mean, we know that the minister gets the money from taxes.
Yes.
And it's one of those highly awaited issue to understand what the minister will do. Whether minister has any room to maneuver. You would understand, let's just focus on the tax for a moment. You would understand that our corporate income tax rate is at about 28%, and the Minister Tito Mboweni committed last year that government will reduce it to 27%. Right at that point, you realize that there is going to be less collections unless the economy grows. Now, we also have a situation where our personal income tax rate is at 45%. That is one of the high rates. It's not the highest in the world. We've got countries that have up to about 60%. But for our economy, 45% is a lot, Flo. It's about half of a person's salary and or earnings.
Yes.
So you cannot really increase it much, or you really should not be increasing it. What we should be doing right now is we should be focusing on the growth of the economy. That
Yes.
is exactly what we need. At the moment, you know, you think about, can the minister increase the VAT rate? Possibly, because there's still a little bit of a buffer. There are tax VAT rates that are at about 20%. We are at 15%. There's still that 5%, but we know that VAT is very regressive. It hits the poor the hardest. And as a result, it's not very popular, an increase in VAT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and as time goes, we realize that there are certain things that need to be eased. For example, if the minister is to increase the VAT rate, he also needs to look at exempt goods, for example. But now, you know, we always think of exempt goods as foodstuffs, food and things like that. But minister needs to start looking at things like exempting sanitary pads, for example. Those are necessary, although they are not foodstuffs. So you've got a situation where you need to ease something, but at the same time you need to collect. Hence, I'm saying it's such an unenviable position to be in.
And that's the thing, you know, we're talking about growth of the economy, but I wonder, are we able to talk about growth of the economy before we talk about recovering? Because we indeed need to be recovering. And of course, what you're saying about tax is really quite scary, I must say, just in case that, you know, we are talking about the raising of taxes, and I wonder if that's indeed what you would be anticipating. But let's talk about, can we talk about the economic growth, you know, without talking about recovery first and foremost?
Absolutely, because right now we are way back behind where we were about a few years ago, and therefore there needs to be political will and economic ability for us to get out of there and start on a trajectory of improvement or growth of the economy.
Yeah.
So at the moment, what the minister needs to do it's look at where we are, what do we need to get to where we were, and then how are we going to move forward? And in that regard, I mean, the other thing, you know, is that during this time, government has also made commitments that are costly, that are expensive. Some of them are justifiable, or quite a lot of them are justifiable. But for example, you're looking at a lot of people that are not economically active, that are, for example, receiving the 350 rands. That is a cost to the government, that is a cost to the economy. We need to find out, how do we activate those people? How do we activate the economy so that there is a bigger net, a wider net from where to collect the taxes, for example, without going further into the pockets of the people that are paying tax. I mean, the percentage of people that are active in the community or in the society or in the economy rather, that are contributing towards taxes is very small in relation to the whole population. And therefore, I mean, one cannot emphasize this more, that we need to recover and we need to grow. Otherwise, we are really not sustainable.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about the issue of SOEs before we wrap up our conversation. This is something that always pops up when we are anticipating, of course, to hear from the finance minister. When we're talking about SOEs, of course, one would automatically think of the state of Eskom. Why is it so important for the general public and investors? And what do you think that investors are most worried about when we're talking about the issue of SOEs?
What we need right now is at least to get the SOEs to come out of the ditch. Where they are now, a lot of their credibility is very, very much challenged, including the credibility of the people that are leading them. What we need them to do right now is to come out of the negative perception and to start working towards building their credibility, and at the same time also try to be productive and also try to be profitable, because I mean, like you hear this all over and over again, that it is not sustainable that we should be pouring in money into entities that are supposed to actually be giving us money. So we need a very stern approach to them, which actually is not compromising, to say they need to run as businesses. And once they do that, they need to also contribute to the coffers. They need to contribute to the taxes, those that are taxable. So the state is not too good. Hence, I'm saying that the credibility is a lot more challenged. We need to grow that. But it's just one of the many things that need to be done very well. I mean, issues of the embezzling of government monies, where does it go? How does it go? Corruption and all that. There's just a whole lot that we need to work on. And I think that the president, together with the Minister of Finance and other ministers, need to work towards building that. They need to, it's a political issue that I'm talking about, and I'm just a tax expert. The point is that they need to be really staunch and firm in their hand when dealing with SOEs. All
right, so it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much, and I hope that we are able to have more conversations to unpack the budget speech with you. It's been interesting indeed having your input on the show. We certainly do appreciate your time, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. That is UJ, Mercantile Law Professor and Chief Executive Officer at the Office of the Tax Ombud, Professor Thabo Legwaila.